Okay, First Timothy 5, widows, elders, and slaves. Now again, in Paul's letters, he says slave traders are bad guys. People aren't supposed to own slaves. The formula of the Bible is that people have to look deeply into what it's saying, and they must use righteousness and justice as the measuring line. Okay, Isaiah 28:17. If you live a lie, God's wrath will destroy the refuge that you sought. Water will overflow your hiding place, and you will suffer eternal punishment. Do not rebuke an older man harshly, but exhort him as if he were your father. Who, what, when, where, how, why, mind you. Treat younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, and younger women as sisters with absolute purity. Now, did Christ rebuke people? Yes. Were these Pharisees old guys quite often, if not always? Yes. Did he do so harshly? Yes. Give proper recognition to those widows who are really in need. But if a widow has children or grandchildren, these should learn first of all to put their religion into practice by caring for their own family and so repaying their parents and grandparents, for this is pleasing to God. The widow who is really in need and left all alone puts her hope in God and continues night and day to pray and to ask God for help. But the widow who lives for pleasure is dead even while she lives. The widow who lives for pleasure is dead. She's even while she lives, like it says in James. Like the body without the spirit is dead, faith without works is dead. When you're in this fairy spirit that I see so-called Christians in, okay? When you're in the spirit of Muslims, Christians, and Jews, you're not in the spirit of God. People who worship God obey God through me. And I quite often separate myself from the Christian label because it's such a failed label. And their organizations have failed to such an extreme and unforgivable degree. I see these people on TikTok with their fancy clothes, their fancy houses that they're showing off. They're in some kind of fairy propaganda spirit, some kind of My Little Pony Power Ranger Powerpuff Girls spirit. Okay? Is the point to offend them right now or to correct them? They're in a kind of, this kind of electric dance music spirit, kind of liberals, even conservatives look like liberals. Okay, and I'm not a conservative. I don't conserve white supremacy or the American cultures. They're in the Baphomet spirit. They're in the Smurf spirit, a cartoon spirit, animus, the root word of animation, meaning spirit. They're in Psyche spirit from the Greek myths. She's in a trance, Psyche's trance. Look up Psyche's trance. It's a pagan way of thinking to be in a trance. People say, oh, praise Jesus. Okay, that is a circus mocker spirit. You think God as the essence of the top martial arts ever, God is the source of the top martial arts ever, in the spiritual realm, the creator, all good, all knowing, all powerful, wants you to act like some kind of circus mocker? You think he wants these people to change my voice so it is consistent with theirs to some degree? That is pathetic as it gets. Their spirit, therefore, cannot be seen as respectable. And I don't blame anyone if they're going to go on and on about how despicable and disgusting it is. That is the right thing to do. Do not praise the spirits of the wicked while kids are being raped, defiled, and abused, and murdered, and kidnapped, and trafficked, while all this horrible stuff is going on in the world. That is sick. It's sick to join them in that spirit, and anyone in their spirit will be held as accountable, so to speak, as the worst sinner in their spirit. Because you are enabling them, you are assisting them, you're in the same wolf formation, there's no excuse. But the widow who lives for pleasure is dead even while she lives. Give the people these instructions so that no one may be open to blame. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives and especially for their household has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. No widow may be put on the list of widows unless she is over 60, has been faithful to her husband, and is well known for her good deeds, such as bringing up children, showing hospitality, washing the feet of the Lord's people, helping those in trouble, and devoting herself to all kinds of good deeds. And again, this must be reconciled with Galatians 4. Mr. Paul seems to go on and on to some degree. He seems to reference it more. He references it more than once. Talking about children. Okay, marriage, children. In Galatians 4, he makes it crystal clear in a way that there's no other way to look at it. That more is the children of the woman who is barren, who bears children in the spiritual realm, not in the flesh, than the one who bears children in the flesh. Isaiah 57 overkills this, as Paul was even a Jewish convert. Isaiah 57 says the righteous are taken away to be spared from evil. If you're a righteous man, you know the righteous are killed and they carry a cross to the point of death. Okay, do you have children on purpose? Depend on which righteous. If you're my father, yes, because that's the leadership bloodline of all mankind. But now it's the end, where I even won't have children no matter what. Any child claims to be my child is invalid, even if they took it from my blood. Even if I impregnated a female when I was younger, it's invalid. And there is nothing I could do. See, if I had sex with 1,000 women a day when I was younger, it would only be because they went way out of their way to persecute me and confuse me about who I am, using military-grade psychology to do so. No one else on the planet can make that claim, because God will have handed them over to sin because of their generational sin. So their sins are held against them, and they must atone. They must redeem themselves. They must make amends. They don't rally and obey God through me. In time, they're done, and no one should have kids no matter what. Okay. So again, it says, helping those in trouble and devoting herself to all kinds of good deeds. Deeds are important. Revelation makes that clear. Revelation 19, the fine linen, it stands for the righteous acts of the saints and of the loyal. As for younger widows, do not put them on such a list, for when their sensual desires overcome their dedication to Christ, they want to marry. Thus they bring judgment on themselves because they have broken their first pledge. Besides, they get into the habit of being idle and going about from house to house. And not only do they become idlers, but also busybodies who talk nonsense, saying things they ought not to. There's all kinds of forms of that. I'm almost out of time here. I want to go on and on about people talking about stupid stuff, like they talk about on TikTok and YouTube, and just stupid stuff all the time. Instead of scrambling, saying Christ is here, and scrambling to get people to do the right thing, they're just talking nonsense, acting like they're doing something. If it doesn't include who I am, pointing right to me, okay, plainly, no secret society code, then it is nonsense that God despises. There's no time for your worldly garbage and your silly games. Anyway, so I counsel younger widows to marry, to have children, to manage their homes, and to give the enemy no opportunity for slander. Some have in fact already turned away to follow Satan. If any woman who is a believer has widows in her care, she should continue to help them and not let the church be burdened with them, so that the church can help those widows who are really in need. The elders who direct the affairs of the church well are worthy of double honor, especially those whose work is preaching and teaching. Now again, they're not talking about these churches we have here. There's 380,000 churches in America. They rallied for a war on poverty plan. There would be a war on poverty plan. Okay, between their staff and their congregations. Okay, between the fact that there's no viable counter argument for the war on poverty plan and taxes that I discussed, the $5 trillion get back plan. There's no viable counter-arguments. The rich will still be rich. It's very affordable taxes. It will wipe out homelessness, effectively wage war on poverty. No, they are white supremacist institutions. And when you have gone further than the other races with your supremacy garbage, and I don't approve of any supremacy, but the more damage you've done in the name of your racial supremacy, the more God despises that movement and those families, etc.